Hey guys, in this video we are finally comparing 6 budget gaming headsets to find out which one's the best, which one's the best value, and which one you should avoid entirely. Let's get started. So we bought and tested 6 of the most popular gaming headsets under $50, and in our roundup we included the most popular, the SteelSeries Arctis 1, the ones with the most following, which is the Razer Kraken X, the ones I honestly thought would do better, the Corsair HS35s, the ones with the most color choices, the Turtle Beach Recon 70s. Then we bought some outliers as well. The MPOW EG3 Pros came in at $35, but they're some of the most well-reviewed headsets on Amazon. And we also bought the very cheapest Amazon headset, the Pico BO1s. These come in at $15 with Prime shipping, but they're sold under a lot of different names, so your mileage may vary. Let's dive right into this comparison and talk about the most disappointing out of the group, the Corsair HS35s. They're not necessarily the worst, but they're easily the least well-rounded out of the group. But let's talk about what they do right first. They're very comfortable, and the mic detaches so you get a cleaner look in case you don't need a microphone. And the controls on the left ear cup are actually really easy to use and pretty intuitive once you get the hang of it. The mic sounds good enough for most uses, and your friends will not notice that you're using a $40 headset. The sound positional accuracy seems good enough, but they're not mind-blowing in any way. Which leads me to what I found most shocking about the Corsair HS35s, their sound quality. They're extremely bass-heavy, and have little to no detail in the highs and mids, which you would expect considering they're using 40mm drivers. Vocals are so crushed and muddled in games that they're actually hard to hear in the middle of a firefight or an explosion, and you have to turn up the volume higher to be able to actually hear the vocals, and then the bass becomes so overpowering it's actually uncomfortable to listen to. I mean, I guess if you're a bass head, okay, but for everything else, they're not very good. If you love bass, you'll love the HS35s, but you'll still be wanting the mids and high frequencies for just general music enjoyment or general game enjoyment. For racing games, they're actually okay because of the bass. The car feels more rumbly and real. Going over rumble strips or revving up your V8 just sound good, but you don't get that nice detail of rocks hitting the undercarriage or grass. It just kind of feels muddled, and it feels like it's only focused on the engine and road noise, which isn't the worst thing for a racing game, but for every other game, you want more. I'd only recommend the Corsair to somebody who absolutely loves bass. For everything else, I think there's way better options at this price point. Alright, now let's look at the least impressive out of the group. They're not bad, but they're just very underwhelming, and that's the Turtle Beach Recon 70s. They're pretty comfortable. They have nice oversized pleather ear cuffs, but they do run a bit hot in longer gaming sessions. They also have quite a solid clamping force, but not really enough to be fatiguing. You'll get tired of the heat from the ear cups faster than you will from the clamp. The mic is also decent enough for the price, but also quite unexceptional. The flip to mute feature did not work on my set, so no privacy either. If you must take a personal call or something while in a party, they'll still be able to pick up everything you say without problem. Another problem I found with the mic is since it sits so far away from your mouth, it doesn't isolate your voice nearly as well as some of the others. So, like, let's say someone's cooking in the kitchen or whatever, just ambient noise, your friends and your party will hear that a lot more than some of the other choices, which is not comfortable for when you're on the receiving end of that. The construction of these is decent enough, but they're like 100% plastic, so again, they're unexceptional and they feel very cheap in the hand, but I had no problems with my set. They don't feel like they're gonna fall apart or anything, but I wouldn't rank these high in terms of long-term durability, but they just don't feel that premium. I know they're not, but some of the other ones in this test definitely feel nicer than the Turtle Beaches. Alright, let's talk about sound quality of the Turtle Beach Recon 70s. They use 40mm drivers, so they're clear enough, and they have decent spatial awareness, but They lack all bass, and I think they enrich the highs a bit too much, so they can sound a bit tinny. In general, they sound okay, but there's nothing that sets these apart from anything else in the group. They're just a generic pair of sounding headphones. Don't get me wrong, they sound fine for games and movies, but they lack personality and energy that some of these others have, and makes them feel underwhelming when you listen to them. I like that the Turtle Beach Recon 70s come in a ton of different colors, and they're all 40 bucks. But also at that price, you're not getting an exceptional pair of headphones. Finally, if these are the only ones at your store, they're not a bad deal, but for 40 bucks, I wouldn't search for these specifically. Alright, now let's look at the worst overall headset. But they're also by far the cheapest. They come in at $15, and if we talk about performance per dollar, these are easily the best value here. They have a ridiculously cheap build quality, and they feel like they're gonna fall apart any minute, but over the past couple weeks they had no problems with me whatsoever. The headband is fine and has decent cushioning, and it's covered in pleather, so it feels okay, but the ear cups are just bad. They're too small to be over-ear and too big to be on-ear, so they sit in a weird middle ground where it's just not very comfortable to use. Plus, the padding on the ear cups themselves is quite thin compared to all these other ones, so they do more pressure on your ears than is really comfortable. You do get used to how they sit on your ear, but they will fatigue your ears quite quickly. The mic is also not trash. It's clear enough for party chats, but they don't really isolate your voice, so you pick up every other noise in your room, but whatever, they're 15 bucks and the mic works. Now let's talk about sound quality. In a word, they're quiet. Even at full volume on the headset, my Xbox controller, or my laptop, they just sounded distant and hollow. The frequency separation is lacking, and the dynamic range is very limited. Which means everything kind of sounds at the same volume, including explosions, footsteps, dialogue, it all kind of gets jumbled together. However, they are stereo, so you do get a decent stereo separation, but they're definitely nothing to write home about. The Pico BO1 surprised me in many ways. First of all, they work. Yeah, they don't sound great, or the mic doesn't sound great, but they're $15 and everything else is at least $30 or more, so twice the price of these, and these will achieve what you want if you're on a real tight budget. If you need a cheap headset to do a video call or replace a standard Xbox headset, these are a really good choice for 15 bucks. If you're not going to be using them for extended period of times, or just want something that's even slightly more comfortable than the Xbox headset, go with these. They're not great, but they're also not as bad as you would expect for $15. The jury's still out on how long these will actually last. I did read some horror stories on Amazon reviews that they would be dead on arrival, or they would just break as soon as you try to put them over your head, so your mileage will definitely vary. For the couple weeks I had them and tested them, they were fine, but like I said, they're $15. I don't know if their QC will actually be any good. I ultimately think that these are the best value on this whole test. For $15, you can't really go wrong, but they're still far from my first choice. Now let's take a look at the ones I was most excited for, the MPOW EG3 Pros. The first ones so far that come with a PC adapter and LED lighting. Though the LED is powered by USB, it is very impractical to use for console or even PC because you lose a USB. And it's not like it's required, it's just for aesthetic. They also have the longest cable by far, so when you're plugged into your controller, you just end up with a mess of wires on your lap, which is pretty uncomfortable and not what I'd hope given it's 2020. These come in at about 30 to 40 bucks depending on when you buy them. The EG3 Pros are absolutely ginormous. They don't even seal well around your ears. The ear pads are comfortable and padded, but they lack the clamping force to actually have them seal behind the ear, and they feel like they're gonna fall off at any moment, which is a real disappointment because I really wanted to like these. The headband is comfortable enough, it's on a little wire spring system, but they just don't seat well on your ears, which is a bummer. To me, the mic sounds the best out of all the ones I tested, with truly clear vocals and good enough sound isolation that your party doesn't really hear everything that's going on around you. They're also the only ones to come with a windscreen, so they handle plosives and breaths pretty well. They use 50mm drivers, so you'd think the bass would be overpowering, but ultimately deliver some of the clearest, best vocals and dynamic range out of the whole group. They're very pleasing to listen to and have very good frequency separation, so you can pick up environmental sounds and dialogue and different instruments and songs a lot better than a lot of these other ones. For the price, I think they sound really, really amazing. I enjoy their warm sound signature and think they're some of the best sounding in the whole test. I just wish they had better sealing around my ears so they have a nice, tighter bass response, but they don't. I would only choose the EG3 Pros if I had a bigger or wider head and hopefully get a nicer seal around my ear, but ultimately they're just too big for me and they just fall short of being some of the best on this test. Alright, let's take a look at the top two in my test. First, the Razer Kraken X. These are a solid choice and have some of the best packaging and include some nice little bonuses like a PC adapter and nice little rubber cable bands. I just love these things. And for $50 retail, they're a good deal, but you can often find them on sale for $40. The Razer Kraken X's feature a very gamer look, but since they're all black, they don't stand out too much. I just wish the mic was detachable. They also use pleather for their oversized ear cups and headband, and they're really comfortable, and for me, they didn't really get too hot in long gaming sessions. Sadly, the mic doesn't detach or fold away, so it's always in the corner of your field of view. The mic also sounds good enough, though uninspiring. The mic has good sound isolation and rarely picks up other noises in the room. The Kraken X is a good entry into the Razer world, but I did run into one hiccup with them, and that's that my 7.1 virtualization did not work on my PC. The activation card just kept saying it wasn't valid. This wasn't a huge deal for me since I already have Dolby Atmos and I was able to hear them how they would sound, but I wanted to see if the Razer's 7.1 virtualization would be a nice bonus because it's included free with the Kraken X's, but sadly it just didn't work for me. The Kraken X's have a very split personality in terms of sound. In games they sound really good, but in music they sound muddled and bass heavy. During gaming, none of that really bothered me because I could still hear details I thought I would be missing with the Razers. They sound shockingly clear and their virtualization of surround is very good, and they have strong enough bass to make them feel very immersive in racing games. During music, it just sounded all muddled and bass heavy. These are some of my favorite sounding in-game. They have very good positional accuracy even without Razer's virtualization. And rumble strips in Forza 7 are low and powerful, but they don't drown out dialogue or the high-end like the Corsairs do. For games, I think these are one of the best choices, and you will not be disappointed with the Razer Kraken X. Alright, let's talk about my favorite ones and the most well-rounded out of this group, the SteelSeries Artis 1. These come in at $50 and include the PC adapter, but they don't really include any other goodies like the Razers do, which is a bummer. To me, they have the best design and are the most neutral and quite pleasing to look at. And with the removable mic, you don't have to be looking like a gamer all the time. The Artis ones use nice breathable mesh on the ear cups with pleather on the headband, and they have a little bit of a design on the inner ear cup, but it's just a normal geometric design that doesn't scream gamer and is actually not too bad to look at, even though you'll probably never look at it because it'll be on your head. I found these to be the most comfortable alongside the Razers for long gaming sessions and just general listening. The removable mic sounds quite good and rejects outside noise well enough, but like most of these, it's nothing to write home about. The mic is also on a super soft boom, and it's easy to adjust and get exactly right. The SteelSeries Artis 1 has a very pleasing sound signature, and they work very well in games and when listening to music. These sound very well balanced and have a good separation between the highs, mids, and lows, so you never feel like the dialogue or the details are getting drowned out when an explosion hits. They're very well rounded and are great listening headphones. If you want to use them to just listen to music, they sound great, And when you want to play games, they have very good positional accuracy as well. The instrument separation on these is actually really good, and you'd honestly think that you're listening to a little bit higher end of a headphone with these SteelSeries. They just sound very good, very clean, and not overly processed like the Corsairs. In-game, the Artist is very clean and clear with good frequency separation and good spatial awareness. They're just a really, really good sounding set of headphones. The dialogue is loud and clear in the middle of a firefight, and explosions don't drown any of the detail away. This is an impressive set of $50 headphones and are easily my #1 choice for this roundup. They have clear vocals, good bass line, and are extremely comfortable. They're easily my #1 choice, and they win low-tech's budget gaming headset roundup. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. This was a very fun video to make, and I really think that if you go with the Razer or the Artist ones, you will not be disappointed and you're getting a good deal for the price. To me, the Artist is just a more pleasing sound signature and a nicer design. As long as you don't go for the Corsairs, I don't think you're going to be wasting your money on any of these, including the $15 Picos. They all sound surprisingly different, and at the price point, you're really not sacrificing too much compared to the higher end options. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more content like this, make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.